It was a perfect June evening, warm and fragrant as we gathered under fairy lights for Mark and Sarah's wedding. Crystal glasses clinked, laughter filled the air, and hope seemed endless. Mark stood to give his toast, eyes locked on Sarah, his words trembling with emotion. He spoke of how she saved him, how his life was empty until she arrived. We all sighed, swept up in the romance, believing we were witnessing the start of a beautiful forever. But 2 years later, we gathered again, not for celebration, but for Mark's funeral. Sarah, voice trembling, replayed that same wedding toast. The words that once made us swoon now hung heavy, transformed into something ominous. What we thought was a declaration of love was, in truth, a warning. Mark's toast was a cry for help, hidden in the language of devotion. We missed the signs, blinded by the fantasy of the moment. This is a story about the power of words, and how love's language can mask dangerous dependency. It's a lesson to listen, not just with our ears, but with our whole hearts. Sometimes the most beautiful words hide the deepest pain. We must learn to hear what's really being said, because sometimes love's poetry is a plea for rescue. A wedding toast is meant to celebrate love and new beginnings. We expect grand declarations, believing that needing someone completely is the height of romance. But what if those words hide something darker? There's a world of difference between I choose you and I can't live without you. Healthy love is partnership. Unhealthy dependency is a prison, gilded in beautiful words. Mark's toast was full of movie script romance, but beneath it was desperation. We all want to matter deeply to someone, but no one should be asked to be another's savior. The difference between devotion and dependency is subtle but crucial. Love should empower, not consume. We must learn to recognize the warning signs hidden in plain sight. Let's revisit Mark's toast as we heard it that night. Mark, voice thick with emotion. Before Sarah, I was drifting. My life had no color, no purpose. Then you walked in. You are not just the love of my life, you are my life. Without you, I am nothing. He raised his glass. I promise to cling to you. I can't let you go. I need you more than air. The room was moved to tears, seeing vulnerability as romance, but listen closely. I will cling to you. Without you, I am nothing. These are not the words of a partner, but of someone lost, placing the weight of his existence on Sarah. It was a vow, but also a burden. If she ever failed to be his everything, his world would collapse. That's too much for anyone to carry. Mark's love sounded selfless, but it was conditional. He wasn't offering partnership, he was demanding salvation. The language of absolute need is not love, it's a warning. We must learn to hear the difference. Sarah's tears were not just joy, but the dawning realization of the responsibility she was being handed. The toast was a plea, not a promise. We missed it, lost in the poetry. But the truth was there, hidden in every word. Love should be a choice, not a lifeline. No one should be asked to be someone else's reason for living. As guests, we heard what we wanted. A man unafraid to be vulnerable. We mistook desperation for passion, neediness for devotion. Sarah's reaction was telling. Her tears were mixed with fear. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. She was being told she was responsible for another's existence. That's not a vow, it's a verdict. The difference between a romantic promise and a conditional one is everything. Mark's words set up a dynamic where Sarah was always responsible for his happiness. Love became a job, not a partnership. We applauded, blind to the warning. We saw his words as proof of Sarah's worth, not as a sign of his fragility. No one should be asked to be another's reason for living. Our purpose must come from within. To place that burden on someone else is not love. It's emotional transference. We must learn to see the difference. After the wedding, Mark and Sarah seemed perfect. Smiling photos, happy posts. But beneath the surface, Mark's dependency grew suffocating. He needed to know where Sarah was at all times. His love became possessive. She gave up hobbies, isolated from friends, just to avoid his hurt. Mark wasn't abusive, but he was emotionally manipulative, making her feel guilty for any independence. Sarah tried to be his everything, mistaking his need for passion. Her world shrank, her spirit dimmed. She became exhausted, losing herself under the weight of his expectations. When she asked for space, he reminded her of his promise, "You can't leave me. I am nothing without you." His fragility became her prison. No one can be another's anchor without being pulled under. Love should lift, not drown. Sarah was trapped by the very words that once sounded so beautiful. The end came suddenly. After 2 years, Sarah, exhausted and anxious, asked for a separation. She suggested counseling, hoping for a healthier love. Mark heard only one thing: she was leaving. His identity was wrapped up in her. Without her, he saw nothing. 2 days after Sarah moved out, Mark took his own life. The funeral was a blur of grief and guilt. We all wondered, had we missed the signs? Sarah stood before us, pale but steady, and played Mark's wedding toast. The same words that once made us cheer now filled the room with sorrow. The contrast between beginning and end was devastating. The warning had always been there, hidden in plain sight. Hearing Mark's toast at his funeral was chilling. The words, once romantic, now sounded like a threat. "Without you, I am nothing." At the wedding, it was love. At the funeral, it was a prophecy fulfilled. His declarations became confessions of fatal dependency. Our past cheers echoed, a haunting reminder of our blindness. "I promised to cling to you." Once a promise, now a cage. His love was not a gift, but a debt Sarah could never repay. Sarah let the recording play, then spoke. "He told us. From the beginning, he told us." We called it love, but it was a plea for help. The lesson was painfully clear. We were enchanted by the fairy tale, ignoring the warning in his words. Sometimes, the most beautiful stories hide the darkest truths. We must learn to listen beyond the poetry. What do we do with a story like this? We must learn to listen differently, with our whole hearts, not just our ears. Romantic language can disguise desperation. Is this love a partnership, or is it neediness and control? Devotion is walking together. Desperation is demanding to be carried. True love empowers and expands you, not diminishes you. If you feel pressured to be someone's everything, that's too heavy a burden. It's not your job to save anyone. If you feel empty without your partner, your worth must come from within. Seek help. Find your own light. The truest act of love is caring for yourself and those around you. Mark and Sarah's story is a tragedy, but also a lesson. Words have power. They can build or destroy. We must be discerning listeners, questioning what sounds romantic but feels wrong. When someone tells you who they are, believe them. We must stop romanticizing brokenness and expecting love to heal all wounds. Love is partnership, not rehabilitation. Let this story spark conversations about healthy love. True love is two whole people, growing side by side. Let's redefine our relationship goals. Choose stability and respect over drama. The truth will always rise, sometimes painfully. Let's honor Sarah's courage by listening for truth, not fantasy. Real love never asks you to be someone else's lifeline.